Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Red Devils TV. Now, in this video, myself and Kojo are going to be talking about the latest news with the Harry Maguire situation, Jadon Sancho situation, and Erik Ten Hag. And does he have his arms tied behind his back, pretty much? But Kojo, welcome back to the channel as always. Now, I've currently got a cup of tea, but are you a cup of tea or do you prefer coffee? Just to start off the conversation.
Cup of tea. I don't actually know if it's coffee. The only thing I can stomach is a mocha. At most,
Mocha.
That's the only thing I can stomach. Just because it tastes like chocolate a little bit. That's the only thing I can do.
Yeah, I'm the same. I work as a barista at Costa. I've told you this before, and I only just sip mochas. I only have like a one shot of espresso, so I'm still like on the baby bottle pretty much. but anyway, so let's get right into this video. So with Jadon Sancho, we'll start on off that first because I think that's a bit more of a bigger topic. So, as we all know, Manchester United play against Brighton today, and there are rumours that Jadon Sancho is not going to be involved in the squad like he was against Arsenal. So, Kojo, just ask you quickly. So, what were your first reactions when you saw the Jadon Sancho statement?
I wasn't shocked. I am a small guy. That is true. I wasn't. Maybe shocked, but not in a "oh my god, how dare you" sort of situation. I think we all got to get used to the fact that football has changed, and with social media, players are going to be a lot more vocal about what happens around them. And if they feel like they're feeling a certain type of way, they don't have to go to a tabloid newspaper and have a daring interview. They can just go on social media and make a post and keep it moving. Obviously, he feels aggrieved at what Ten Hag said. And I understand a lot of people are under the culture of when your manager talks, you shouldn't really talk back. But for him anyway, he feels like he's being scapegoated. He feels like what's being said is untrue. So obviously he came to defend himself. The one thing that was not alarming but quite, I guess, concerning for me is it's clear that him and Ten Hag have a big difference on what is good enough training. Because Ten Hag said that he wasn't good in training, that's why he wasn't part of the team. Whereas he said, "I've trained fine." So obviously there's a disconnect there. So either Ten Hag's asking the guy to do more and the guy's not doing it, or Ten Hag's not asking him to do more and he's just watching him, and Ten Hag should be more demanding of him. Either way, there's a disconnect there, and obviously it's brought across this whole chaos. Now that from something I thought wasn't actually not that big a deal has now been made a very big deal. It shouldn't have gone this way.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And it was clear that the fact that Jadon Sancho is also now refusing to apologise after being asked by the club, and he's now not backing down. And you know what? Like, it sounds stupid, but you've also got to kind of respect it. It's kind of showing that Jadon Sancho, he feels some sort of disrespected himself. But I'm backing Erik Ten Hag in this situation. But it is kind of not good to see, it's because it's kind of the wrong situation to be in, but it's the fact that Jadon Sancho is sticking with his guns and not backing down. So if it was like his performances where he wasn't backing down and he was trying to improve himself on the pitch and stuff, that'd be the correct mentality to go down. But at the moment, Jadon Sancho is doing it in the completely wrong way. He's being stubborn. He's proving again why he's not been involved in the team. I saw a tweet, funny enough, on Twitter a few days ago, and someone said that if Jadon Sancho had the mentality of Antony, he would be our starting right winger and be Erik Ten Hag's one of Erik Ten Hag's favourites. And I turned around and said, well, that's kind of like saying anything. Like, if I was 6'7", I'd be a basketball player. Like, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It's so unrealistic. Like, Jadon Sancho, for me, is more technically gifted than Antony, but Antony's got the better mentality and wants to actually do well. But with the Antony situation, we've not even spoke about that on this channel yet. Yeah. And that's just another case in itself about how he's now apparently suspended from the club with the ongoing investigation with him. Kojo, when is it actually going to end? When are we actually going to have just one day of just no, like, drama? Just for once. Like,
I'm actually fed up. It's been ever since a certain number 11 got caught doing stuff with his brother's wife. We've had something one way or another, whether it was that, whether it was even before that. Sorry, with Rio Ferdinand's drug ban. Even though he didn't get caught for taking drugs, but he missed it, so he got a crazy drug ban. Rooney and the whole "I want to leave Man United because there's no ambition" episode. You fast forward. There's many more in between, but you fast forward to Obviously the guy that's now in Getafe on loan, and then you got this Anthony situation, you got the Sancho situation. Even when players have retired, the number 11 has had more situations where he's apparently assaulted women or his ex-girlfriends. It's becoming just not even becoming. It's just drama FC. We've gone from the theatre of dreams to the theatre of drama. It's just one thing after another, and I'm quite frankly tired. I'm just tired, man. I can't keep looking at United, even during international duty, where she have 2 weeks of just rest.
Yeah,
and it feels like Man United are an international team. It's ridiculous. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Maguire in Greece in the comments. See, I even forgot about that as well. There you go. That's another one.
I mean, we're going to get on to Maguire in a moment. So NC Network, thank you for that. And what's this one as well? And Shaw's Babe Station Addiction. I've not heard that allegedly.
I don't know about that.
Zaha
boys. Allegedly.
Yeah. Zaha and Louis van Gaal.
Yeah.
Well, Zaha's not here anymore, so thankfully that's like he's now in Galatasaray. So, or whether he's gone, is it Galatasaray Zaha's gone to now?
Yeah.
So thankful, yeah. Again, NC Network, you're spot on there. Like, it's not even over the last 2 to 3 years where this drama's happened. It's happened over the last decade, and I think United fans are just so used to drama. Like you said, it's now called the theatre of drama. It's just like it's like you go to the theatre of dreams to think to watch Manchester United, but no, you've just got a Shakespeare performance half the time now.
There you go.
It's just like it's all over the place. But going back to Jadon Sancho. Now, my first reaction when I saw the statement, I was very annoyed because it was like 30 minutes after the Erik Ten Hag situation, after the Ten Hag press conference. Jadon Sancho just came out with that statement, and I was like, "What are you doing?" It was Sunday at 6 p.m., 6:30 at night, whatever it was. You've got training in the morning the next day. Wait till the morning and just say. Go into his office and just go, Gaffer, I wasn't impressed with what you said, and then you can have a normal conversation. But with player power and the stubbornness and petulance of Jadon Sancho decided to go to social media. He knew what he was going to do, and he's tried dividing the fan base because the fan base is already divided. There's so many little groups all over our fan base. You've got people who still want Paul Pogba back. You've got people backing the ex number 11. You've got people, obviously, with the Glazers out and the 1958s. You've got people who still want the Glazers. I don't understand how divided our fan base is, and this is why, considering we were called United, we used to be called Newton Heath, if you remember, and we became Manchester United because we united for the majority of Manchester, and we're just divided at the moment. We're not united, we're divided, and for me, that's like one of the massive issues in our fan base at the moment. But NC Network say Woodward's broadband issues, which was absolutely comical. It was, mate. Absolutely was. But Kojo, just ask you quickly. Now, Jadon Sancho's stats since joining Manchester United in 2021 is 82 appearances, 12 goals and 6 assists. Now, for a player who has such technical ability and a player we brought for such a high price tag, I remember when you first came on this channel, you said you give players 3 years. Well, this is now Jadon Sancho's 3rd year.
Yeah.
So what is your thoughts on Jadon Sancho? And do you think that he could go before next summer's transfer window? Do you think he can go in January? Or do you think that he has a chance to step up his game?
Well, it depends on how him and Ten Hag deal with this. Think about Sancho and those stats. And I'm not really a stats guy. I'm part of the old school. When people have that debate with me about numbers is everything, I'm always saying, well, you would never dare say that Lampard is better than Iniesta, despite Lampard scoring a ridiculous amount of goals and a number of assists. That obviously eclipses what Iniesta did, but you enjoy Iniesta's football to a higher level and you believe him to be one of the greatest of all time. However, those stats are damning. 6 assists. I can forgive goals because I'm like I said, I'm old school. I don't expect my wingers to be banging in 2030, even though I know that's sort of the thing now with your Salahs and your Vinicius and so on. But the assist means you're not creating enough, and we can talk about number of starts he's had since he's joined the club and so on and so forth. But it's just not reading good enough. That's simple as it is. And his performances as well have not been great either, if we're being honest. I can think of maybe 2 standout performances, and one of them, maybe not even a standout, just the fact that he scored a lovely goal, which was against Liverpool, when he sat down about 3 players. But other than that, his overall wasn't, a standout. But he just needs to pick it up. Now, this is his 3rd year, you're right. So for me, January could be likely if someone makes a fair bid, or if they can agree like a loan deal, a loan to buy, because it looks like they want to get him off the papers, off the books rather, not the papers, the books. On Ten Hag's side of it, it's maybe a minor criticism, but it's not just him. There's a lack of man management in football these days, and I don't like referring back to Sir Alex. I don't like doing it, but I'm gonna have to refer back on this occasion. The one thing I used to admire about him more than anything is that how he realized the personality and the characters of some of these players immediately, and how he deal with them when they're underperforming. It's very clear someone like Jadon Sancho, who also had to take away 2 months or 3 months to almost try and get back in shape, clear his mind, whatever the situation was. Obviously, he's someone that can take public criticism. Well, I mean, and majority of people can't. But maybe South Ferguson, you can look at that book of, when it was Wayne Rooney, he criticized him no matter where, because if Rooney wasn't good enough, he'd say, and Rooney has the personality, the fire to come back and say, well, I'm not going to allow that to happen, so I'm going to go out there and show you what I'm about. Whereas he wouldn't do that to a Nani, because Nani is not someone that can take public criticism on a harsh level like that. So he'll take him to the side and, maybe put his arm around him. And I know this football these days, we always refer back to the Keys and that, saying you don't need an arm around you, just, characters are always different. Always refer back, Man United fans should always think back to how he dealt with the Cantona situation. Cantona, by the way, the fan deserved it. Kung Fu kicked a fan, and he kept on calling him every day. And I remember an article where Ryan Giggs was saying that he was always asking Silas, why are you, like, he kicked someone, a fan, like, why are you always calling him and treating him so nice and, whatever. It's because you have to understand how to deal with someone, and, the best way to get the best out of them is you have to find a way to criticize them, the way to praise them, the way to deal with them, and find out everything about them so that it makes your job easier. It's not favoritism, it's just making sure that everyone has the right conditions to perform at their best level. And I don't think Ten Hag has shown that so far. And that's where my concern is. And that's not just the Jadon Sancho issue either. It's not just that. So that's a criticism for me that I just want him to improve on. I don't think he's a bad coach. I understand and I respect the fact that he wants to be authoritative. And quite frankly, the culture at United has been a bit poo for the last couple of years. So I think everyone's happy with that. But I think you just need to, notice the characters that you have and maybe work around them. But I think Sancho's in trouble, man. He's in big trouble.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that sense because, but you could also argue, just to counter what you've said, is that Erik Ten Hag has inherited this squad. Majority of these players aren't his. So no doubt Erik Ten Hag has given Jadon Sancho multiple opportunities. He gave him a few months break off of his mental health issues last season. He's given multiple players the opportunity. And I just don't think that certain players actually suit his criteria and standards. And that's why we're seeing poor performances on the pitch. I mean, you see Erik Ten Hag trying this 3-1-6 formation. We don't have the quality of players. Like, for example, you've got certain players who don't track back when we're being broken on the counter-attack. You've got players who just... I don't know. It's just very frustrating, I find it. And I think that because Erik Ten Hag has inherited multiple eras of managers. So, like, you've still got players from Louis van Gaal, you've still got players from Mourinho, and all the other managers that we've had, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think that the project is going to be hard for anyone that comes into Manchester United. I think, like, people say, if Pep Guardiola came to Manchester United, he'd sort it out instantly. No, I don't think he would. He definitely wouldn't. Like, Erik Ten Hag, you could probably say Pep Guardiola would probably pick the same players what Erik Ten Hag is currently picking, because you've got the Rashford, which is the standout player. We think Manchester United pretty much think Marcus Rashford. You've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Onana, you've got Martinez. But then apart from them, and I think that the other team, that's all like the debate around, because you've got the who's going to start out Wan-Bissaka and the lot. For me, I think Wan-Bissaka's clear. But Varane, his injury issues. Luke Shaw, his injury issues and inconsistent performances. Casemiro, he's looked a bit leggy throughout the season so far. Eriksen, Mason Mount, when they're all fit. I just feel like that Erik Ten Hag is trying to sort out the squad too quickly, and that's for me the issue. But what you said before, where you said that Erik Ten Hag hasn't really put his arm around players who need it and give the criticism to players that can take it. I feel like that it was a test with Jadon Sancho. Now, Central Devils on Twitter have literally just announced that Barcelona are closely monitoring Jadon Sancho's situation with a view of a possible loan move in January. Now, that's interesting because they recently lost Ousmane Dembele to PSG, so that would be it would kind of make sense. But at the end of the day, like that means United are now a player down, and for me, this is just a massive issue now. With the Sancho situation, with the Anthony situation, with the certain ex number 11 who's now in Getafe situation, who are you playing on the right wing at the moment? Now, so many people are saying Garnacho, so many people are saying Palestra. People are even saying Bruno Fernandes because Erik Ten Hag has experimented there before. But you've just said Palestra. So why are you choosing Palestra?
I'm a big fan. I've been a fan of him for a while. I'm one of those, I hate this term, hipsters. That what's it called? Sports, Portuguese league and the Brazilian league are two leagues that I keep my eye on quite well. Now, obviously, Palestra didn't come from Brazil, but when they played their version of the Champions League, you see a few ties here and there. And I saw him playing for, I think, Penarol. Is that how you say their name? But when he joined United, I was a bit excited. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit excited because okay, you got. I miss direct wingers. I'm so tired of inside forwards and all this inverted winger BS. I understand why it works and tactics and blah blah blah, but like I said, I'm old school. I want you to attack the fullback and whip a ball in every now and then. And he's very direct. But the best thing about him is that he's very unpredictable. He can go inside, he can go outside, and he's very raw. You can tell he wants it. He also got the energy to go and attack, and that's something that United were about. Even if someone didn't make it overall at the club, their first initial spell, you could tell that they had something about them. There was a time when United fans were a little bit excited about Chris Eagles, and he went to Goodison Park and tucked them away. And then we didn't know anything really about Makeda. And then a goal later against Aston Villa, and then he's the flavour of the month, scores the following week. Like those guys every now and then come. Hopefully, I want it to be, more than that, But, the point being, I'm excited by him. And I think we need to go back to being brave enough to start in these youngsters. That also means when Ahmad comes back, play Ahmad as well. All these guys, give them fresh blood comes in. It's exciting for United fans. That's the thing that we thrive on. That's the thing that our culture is about. Giving youth talent and youth and the talent the chance to show themselves on the pitch. So that would be my shout. Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree with the Palestra shout, and because as well we've now recently signed Rasmus Højlund. It's been the graveyard. I've called it the graveyard shift for so long now because it's literally when you've got a natural goal scoring striker, the service isn't there, especially from the wide areas of our pitch. And Palestra would definitely suit Højlund's delivery, the service that he requires. And I just think that with Palestra, what makes him our best winger now? I know this is a really crazy shout, but for me, the reason why he's our best winger is that, like you said, you've got Rashford, you've got Garnacho, you've got Antony. These guys are the inverted wingers, the modern day inverted winger, where they cut inside, they have the poacher's instinct, and they try and score. Yeah. Palestra is a classic winger. And what I love about Palestra as well is that we only signed him for 10 million euros. And this is a deal that Brighton normally make, where they get a young player from South America or somewhere somewhere like that, and they make him a world beater. The fact is, Palestra is right-footed, so you know that he's going to stay out wide, make crosses into the box. I mean, I like to observe the way Foden plays at City, because when he plays on the left wing, you know he stays out wide, and he just whips in crosses for that cyborg cyborg. You know what I mean? He's just an absolute menace, because Foden knows that yes, he's very direct, and yes, he can score a goal, but Foden's first instinct and first thought is, I need to create for Haaland. And I think that's what Palestra will do for someone like Højlund. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I really want Palestra to be involved. Now, I'll put a tweet out before saying that even if Palestra just gets a cameo today, I think it's the right step in the right direction, because I think the fact is, something that always baffles me is that Uruguayan's international team are a very serious team. And since Palestra's joined Manchester United, they have chosen him every single international break, and he hardly plays for his club. Now, for me, Palestra is a diamond in the rough, and it reminds me of like everyone's probably been in this situation at some point, but you've got that girl that you really fancy, and she's really good friends with you, and she's like, "Oh, I just wish I could have someone like you," and then you're just like, "But I'm here, like, come on,
It's me.
like,
It's me you're looking for. God.
I think Palestri's like, because you've probably got Erik Ten Hag here, like on the training ground, saying we really need extra creativity from them wingers. What do you think, Palestra? Do you think Garnacho will play there? And he's just there looking at him like, play me, I will do the service. And I just feel like that with Palestra, his value is probably still around the same as what we bought him. Like we bought him at 10 million euros. You could probably sell him if United wanted to sell him for 10 million euros. You probably could. And the reason why I also love Palestra is that the low centre of gravity, he's very direct, and he reminds me of a Man City player. He reminds me of a player that will play for Man City or Barcelona, a team like that. And it sounds stupid, but the way he plays football is like Messi, where he's very small, very agile, very good with his feet. And he likes to run at defenders. Obviously, Messi being an inverted winger, he's got more of a goal-scoring prowess. But with Palestra, I just really like this player. And with Garnacho, I will stand by my guns and say that Garnacho is much better coming off the bench at the moment and being an impact player. Because if you've got Højlund, Palestra and Rashford running at you for a solid 60 minutes, and then you get a fresh Garnacho coming on who's absolutely rapid, then you're going to be terrified.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that with a team like Brighton today, no doubt they're going to sit back and try and break us on the counter-attack. I don't think they're going to have high majority of the possession. I think because we're at Old Trafford, United will probably be the more front forward type players. I think we've just got to be careful of that counter-attack. But with Jadon Sancho's situation, I don't think he'll play. And I do feel like a player like Palestra should get a chance. But I won't be surprised if Palestra or Garnacho or even Bruno Fernandes is on that wing. But I do hope we do see Palestra at some point today. So yes, the Harry Maguire abuse. Now, I just wanted to ask you with Harry Maguire. Now, obviously, we signed Harry Maguire back in 2020. He was decent for the first 18 months, but then his standards started to slip once Rangnick came in and once Erik Ten Hag came in. And then since then, Harry Maguire just hasn't been the same player. And he's just been proven that he's just a constant, mistake almost. So with Harry Maguire, what are your thoughts on him? Obviously, he's fifth choice centre-back or fourth choice centre-back. And it's just a frustrating thing for me. So what are your thoughts on the Maguire situation?
The unfortunate thing for him is, I think it's very well known that the season before he was born, he was wanted by Mourinho, but the alleged fee at the time was around like £5-6 million, and a year later we signed him for 80. So he was really fighting a losing battle, quite frankly, because they're asking him to be the best. And in this day of football, everyone looks at the transfer fee and says, well, you cost this much, so you must do this. Whereas maybe 15 years ago, it would be, oh yeah, he costs a lot of money, but let him settle into the team, let him do his thing, so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to the abuse he's received, firstly, not good enough at all. As in, we really shouldn't be abusing players. And I always say this: everyone has their moments where we berate players for their performances and all that, and that's fine in terms of being mad that they're not playing well. But when you take it to another level, and United fans have history of doing this in the last couple of years. We've seen it with De Gea, we've seen it with Paul Pogba, we've seen it with this guy, that guy. We can go on name upon name. It's happened. The thing that's irking me about the Maguire, I guess, defense committee, if you would, is there is no issue in defending him. There's no issue in his mum speaking up for him. There's no issue in Ten Hag speaking up for him. There's no one issue in anyone United, or even because he's playing for England, Gareth Southgate backing him as well. That's not an issue for me. It becomes an issue where they're getting people like Ryan Fraser out of nowhere to talk about him. Brendan Rodgers, who's managing Celtic, to talk about him. And I don't usually I'm not even mad at this thing. I'm not even mad at them talking about it either. But it's the hypocrisy of people like Carragher and all that. And I don't. Again, Pogba's come and gone. He's gone, and even him, he's having this whole situation right now with this whole testosterone issue as well. So his career has plummeted down the whole drain. It's a long day for him, and quite frankly, he's probably going to have to end football soon for himself. But it's the whole hypocrisy of British media and fans in general when it comes to defending players. They pick and choose who they want to defend and how they want to defend them, and that's the thing that annoys me. Jamie Carragher stood alongside Gary Neville on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago, where Gary Neville accused Pogba of treason because he missed a penalty. Now, that for me is ridiculous. And then you go and accuse Onana Carragher of essentially trying to get on side with United fans by shouting at Maguire, who made a mistake. And then after the same game, 5 minutes later in his interview said, this thing's happen in football, but even me, I look at myself first. So it's not me just shouting at him to shout at him. I'm looking at myself and saying, what can I do better? Exactly. He defended Suarez. It took him many years before he realized, oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Beckham had an effigy of him burning. You know what I mean? Like, it's pick and choose. It's really, really pick and choose. Sterling at this point, he got noticed because he went to one by Greg's. Like, it just gets ridiculous. Now, now again, I'll reiterate, they are not wrong to defend Maguire. They're not wrong at doing so. I just don't like the hypocrisy behind it. And someone like flipping Mikel Antonio, who, by the way, still takes shots at Richarlison in his podcast with Callum Wilson. And look at, obviously, you've seen the Richarlison issue now. I'm not saying that he's solely to blame. Obviously, Richarlison's going through stuff, so, well wishes to him. But it's just the whole, you laugh at the guy for his goal-scoring records. You laugh at the guy for, scoring a goal and then VAR taking it away from him. And then a couple of weeks later, you're saying, oh, yeah, we shouldn't be abusing Maguire. Look at yourself first. So, again, my issue is not with Maguire per se. Have I been happy with his performances? No. Do I want him here anymore? No, I didn't want him here in the first place, especially when I saw the fee. It didn't make sense to me. But I'm not going to go out there and tell you, for his mum as well. What's his mum talking for? F his mum this, I'm not going to do that. People are standing up for him, and that's beautiful. Mental health is a big thing. Always remember that. But these guys that just try and, do selective defending, it's gone past ridiculous now. It's gone past ridiculous. And it will continue. So more people like myself and you and many other people will continue to talk about these things and rant on in different ways and, understand in different ways. But, as much as I want the player to be defended, I think a lot of people look at themselves and think about how they talk about others before they come to the defense of someone else. You really got to be fair about your criticism and, not take it to a personal level. I can forgive football criticism and always saying, they're not performing well and this is what I think. But when you take it to a whole new level and you're singing F off this and you're talking about their mums and this and the other, yeah, you're taking it too far. So, yeah, I mean, that's my 2 pence on that, really.
Yeah. I mean, with me, I kind of have a different approach to you. And I agree mental health, obviously, is a thing that does come in football now, especially after Dele Alli came out and talked about his ongoing issues. Yeah. And so many people then realised that, maybe we are being a bit too harsh on certain footballers. But for Harry Maguire, I do feel like that the hate is over-exaggerated and people think that is the worst thing to ever happen to the club. I mean, you had people like Stephen Howson who turned around and said that, what's it called? That Woodward was worse than the Munich crash. Like, situations like that. Like, I've seen people say stuff like Harry Maguire is probably the worst signing we've ever had at Manchester United. Harry Maguire is probably, like, you hear so much stupid things from certain fans, and I'm just there like, just shut up.
Yeah.
But for me, the issue that I had with his mum calling him out is pretty much like your mum, like anyone's mum, is going to be your biggest supporter because they're your mother, you came out of them, and they're always going to support you no matter what you do. Now, Harry Maguire doesn't care about social media, apparently that he doesn't listen to any of the comments or anything like that. Well, it's kind of hard when he's blocked all comments on his social media, so no one can make comments anyway. So it's clearly he has listened, but he's kind of prevented it so he doesn't have to listen. But What I don't agree is when fans boo him when he's on the ball. I don't agree when fans booing him when he gets subbed on us or cheer when he's getting subbed off. I don't agree with that. But this is what my issue was. Now, on Monday, no one was speaking about Harry Maguire. And then when he scored that own goal against England for Scotland, England fans, not United fans, England fans absolutely ridiculed him. And then the media spun it around saying that it was Manchester United fans who have caused all this issue. United fans weren't speaking about Maguire until he scored that own goal, and we were only coming out to say that this is what we have to deal with constantly. But now he's doing it for an international thing and everyone's now slagging him off. And I just feel like that Harry Maguire, he's trying to do himself a favour. He's trying to stand out, and then he'll make a massive mistake, and then he goes back down. It's like the progress is going up and up and up and up, and then he'll do something so stupid, and he goes all the way back down. He has to restart his progress again. And I just feel like that Maguire could literally do anything wrong. If Maguire makes misses a pass, or it goes out of play, it'll get clipped up and people will say, oh, look how shit Harry Maguire is. So many players misplay passes. So many players make mistakes on the pitch. But because your name's Harry Maguire, you're overlooked and everyone's looking at what you're doing at all times. Now, another issue that I have with the Southgate situation, I have no issue with him defending him. But what I don't appreciate is that Southgate, about a month prior to he announced his before the international break, turned around and said on a podcast that he's only going to pick players who are playing at the highest level and performing well for their football clubs. Facts. So he picks Henderson, he picks Phillips, and he picks Maguire. So that's him literally going back on his word. Yeah. And then you've probably got Southgate and Maguire in a little conference with each other, just be like, you promise me I'll always play you. Promise me you'll always pick me. Even when I retire, you'll bring me back for an international duty and stuff. I just feel like that Southgate is a bit of an issue here, because if Maguire can just turn around and say, well, I'm still being picked for my international team, like what's the issue? And this is the issue, because Southgate for me isn't a good manager. I feel like that surprisingly he's done the best than what we currently have in our England history in recent times. Like over the last decade, over the last 20 years, you probably say Southgate has been the best England manager by getting us as far as he has done. I mean, the Euros final, the semi-finals in the World Cup, we've not reached that far in a competition before Southgate and these new era of players. But I just feel like with the quality of players that we have, we would have won something by now if we didn't have someone like Southgate. I mean, we went 1-0 up within like the first 10 minutes against Italy in that Euros final, and then Southgate goes to a 5-back instead of going for the win. And then we brought on that pressure. Then Saka got dragged back like a WWE moment and just choked out by Chiellini. And then we lose on penalties. And that was just a horrible situation. But with Maguire, I just feel like that I want to like him because I want every single Manchester United player to do well. But it makes it so hard for me to like him. And for me, he should have just gone to West Ham. Now, I'm going to acknowledge that I am being a bit of a hypocrite, because I've said that about the Saudi situation, about how it's a bit of a disgrace how all these players are going to different clubs for more money. But then I'm saying Maguire needs to go to West Ham for less money that he's going to be earning. So Maguire wants to stay at Manchester United for more money. And I'm going to acknowledge that I personally believe that Maguire wants to stay for the extra money, staying at the biggest club in the world. And I think Maguire has zero ambition and will want to stay at Manchester United and earn that extra 80 grand a week that he would be earning at Man United instead of West Ham. And he'd rather sit on the bench and make a few cameos here and there. I think that's his ambition now. But the guy is 30 years old and he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. He plays for the biggest club in the world. He still plays for his international club. So realistically, he can sit down and say, what's the issue? Like, and I think that's the issue now. But if he's another Phil Jones where we just have to wait for his contract to go down, then so be it. Because I think that West Ham offer was a blessing in disguise. I think that the only opportunity that someone was going to come in for Maguire for that amount of money. We might get offers for Harry Maguire for 15, 20 million, but the club won't take that. The club won't take it, and that's why I think we're stuck with Maguire until his contract runs out, and that's just my opinion. But moving on to the last segment of the video, and that is Ten Hag's mentality. Now, we've kind of briefly talked about Ten Hag and how he's inherited this United squad. Now, Kojo, what do you think on, and how long do you think the project is? Now, I saw Simon in the comments. He turned around and said, where is it? Let me find the comment. He said that, there it is, question here. Do you feel if things don't get better soon, will Ten Hag jump ship? Now, obviously, Erik Ten Hag, he said to the board that he would only be Manchester United manager if everything is done on his terms. So far, I don't think that's happened, but I'll let you answer the question. And what do you think on Erik Ten Hag, and will he jump ship anytime soon, or do you think he's in for the project with Manchester United?
I think he's in for the project. I would, many people may disagree with me, but I think he has been back to an extent. I'm using that based on the fact that a lot of the players that we have signed are players that he has history with. So obviously, if he's trying to apply his style of football, he wants people that identify with it quite easily, so he can get things moving, and then maybe you get some guys in after. So I think he has been back to an extent in that regard. But in terms of his mentality and shipping, or jumping ship rather, just like players, 3 years, man. Just like players, 3 years. This is his second season. So, I want to give him time to build more of his team. Look at the team that we've got right now. Martinez is his, Onana is his, Anthony is his, Højlund, his player, and Mason Mount. So if you're talking about players that are starting, that's about halfway so far. Obviously, I don't think you want to sell Bruno Fernandes, which is fine. Don't think you want to get rid of Rashford, which is fine. It doesn't look like he's been wanting fullbacks for a while. I think he wants a bit more from Malacia, if I'm being honest, because Malacia started really well and then something happened there. Obviously, now he's injured, so we don't know his situation when he comes back. But I think he wants more from him because he sees the potential, which is good. But I don't actually have an issue with Ten Hag per se. There's two things I wanted to figure out: the away form. That's the first one. And the second one, like I said earlier, I just noticing the personalities. Again, I'm not asking for favoritism. I'm just asking for different approaches for different personalities. It's like work, in the office. If you have your appraisal, then your boss wouldn't speak to you the same way he speaks to me because we have different personalities. Maybe he might find a different way to try and motivate us and figure out what's the best way to get the best performance out of us, so that when it comes to reaching targets, we both do what we do. But other than that, I'm quite satisfied. Am I satisfied with some of these signings? No. Anthony, I wasn't so sure because I don't like very left-footed players, even though I'm very left-footed myself. So I know for myself that if you're very left-footed and you can't use your right for anything, you're not very useful at most things. But he's a professional footballer. Obviously, he's made it at the highest level for a reason. So I have hope that he will do better at the club. Mason Mount, I do like Mason Mount. I didn't agree with the fee. I'm not sure if he'll work with Bruno Fernandes in the midfield unless he changes the formation. But again, that's not my job. That's the job of the manager, and hopefully he figures it out. But other than that, I've not been dissatisfied. I've been quite happy with his signing. So yeah, let's see what he does. But if he jumps ship, it will have to be after one more year. If he's not back in the summer, I'll take it back to this one. When we finished second under Mourinho, when City got 100 points and we got 81 or 82 points, right? And he was screaming out for Toby Alderweireld and one more centre back. I think that was Maguire for 5 million at that time, because he wanted to just bolster the back line. Because that year that we finished second was a De Gea Super Show. De Gea was everywhere. If we get to a good position this year and he's not backed properly, I will not blame him if he walks away.
Yeah.
That can't run. It can't run. I'm not watching that again. Quite frankly, I'm not watching that again. I'm not having another manager get this close to figuring out the puzzle and then you just come and kick it away from them. I'm not having that again, personally.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, mate. And yeah, and I have a colleague, Louis, one of my good friends, and He's turned around and said, so obviously, Kojo, I'll ask you this question. He turned around and said to me that if Mourinho stayed at United, we would have won a league title by now. Do you agree with him?
No, because I don't think he would have got what he needed.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Yeah, because Louis turned around and said to me that saying Mourinho would have won us a league title by now or would have won a major trophy of some sort, like the Champions League. And I turned around and I was like, I can understand where you're thinking that's coming from because we got second with Mourinho, 80 points, and that was when City got the Centurions. But at the end of the day, like Liverpool were on the rise then. Like, you know, it like Mourinho football, whether you likes it or not, for me, it wasn't the best football and it wasn't going to make us this dominant side what Erik Ten Hag is trying to make us. And I think Erik Ten Hag is the correct man for us to go forward. And I just want him to succeed. I feel like that you said that he's been backed. He has been backed financially, but again, the signings, you mean the Frankie de Jong situation, the Darwin Núñez, the Cody Gakpo, like all these signings we've missed out on, Kim Min-jae, Osimhen, Kane, all these players that we've missed out on, which are the players that he wanted. And yes, I love the Rasmus Højlund shout. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I've told the story many times of when I first met Rasmus Højlund. Never met him personally, but when I first watched him play football. And again, I don't know why I was doing it, but I played Football Manager, and I had Højlund on my scouting thing. Anyway, I was on the phone to my girlfriend and she turned around and said to me, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm watching the Finland and Denmark international game." She was like, "What are you watching that for?" And I was like, "No, there's this player called Rasmus Højlund who I really like the look of and I want to watch him." She was like, "You have way too much spare time on your hands." And literally, I was screaming down the phone saying, "He's so good. I want him at United and everything." And my girlfriend was just like, "You're absolutely mental." And I was just there like, I want him at United. And anyway, when we found out we were getting him, I was over the moon. But I would just love it for him to score in his debut today. I would absolutely love it because I just think it'd be absolutely amazing. And with Højlund, I feel like that we've got a striker that's a young striker for once. Like we've like in recent years we've signed strikers who are past it or who just haven't suited to the league. Like you mean we brought back Cristiano Ronaldo, you brought Cavani, Weghorst, Igalo, Lukaku, Falcao. Like all these strikers we've had over the years, it's just painful. Like Ronaldo's probably our most successful one, realistically. And that's Ronaldo. That's one of the greatest players who've ever played the game. So, and if he can get us 30 goals a season, then that says it all. But yeah, I do feel like that Erik Ten Hag has got his arms tied behind his back and he is doing well. But Rome wasn't built in a day. We all know this. And as long as Erik Ten Hag gets backed and he gets majority of the players with the crap ownership what we've got, I think that eventually once he starts moving out the players that he doesn't want at the club, then that's when we're going to start seeing a better United and an actual Erik Ten Hag side. Because like we've said in this video, he inherited this squad. For some reason, people say that why doesn't he play Donny van de Beek? He played with him and he did really well at Ajax. Well, here's a counter question to that. Why did Ten Hag sell him then?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, apparently Van de Beek's in the squad today on the bench or starting. So I'm not too sure on that one, but that's apparently what Twitter's saying. But I just feel like that with this game, it's going to be very tough with the game and Density Network. Yeah, mate, I'll be in touch with you. I just wanted to have a chat with you privately. And Simon just with his comment saying that I feel Erik Ten Hag is the man for the job, but if it doesn't go his way, he will jump or be pushed. That's the mentality within the club as the whole at the moment in time, and that's worrying. Now, I understand that, and that's the cycle repeating itself because I mean, this is what happens. A manager comes in, they get backed, we get Champions League football, and then they don't get backed properly. And the cycle repeats itself. And after about 2 or 3 seasons, the manager's sacked because the fans are protesting with the results, or the Glazers don't think the manager's good enough. The cycle's repeating itself, and I'm hoping Erik Ten Hag does break the cycle. I hope that we're all on this little hamster wheel. We've been on it for the last 18 years under the Glazers, and hopefully, I hope at one point we just jump off and we break the hamster wheel. But Free Midfield Podcast, nice to see you in the comments, pal. Simon also says that it would have been 1-0 all the way. I don't know what you mean by that. And NC Network also says that Erik Ten Hag is fighting with one hand tied behind his back. I highly doubt he is happy with this squad. Yes, he has been ballsy with the disciplinary side, but tactically he's very one-dimensional in my opinion. I completely agree with that, pal. I honestly completely agree with you with that situation. I mean, like we said, he inherited this squad. The players he wants in his squad aren't the players that he's got, and that's the issue here. I mean, I don't think Harry Maguire can really play out from the back properly. I don't think Luke Shaw can be this running up and down fullback that Ten Hag wants all game long. I mean, I've shared my criticism on Luke Shaw. I think he's a very good player, but I just feel like he doesn't have the legs to be this modern day fullback that Erik Ten Hag is requiring. And I think that Luke Shaw should start thinking on becoming a left centre half. And that's just my opinion. A player that can help, because Luke Shaw's delivery is absolutely brilliant. He knows how to cross the ball. He's very good with distribution. But I just feel like after around the 60th to 70th minute, that's when you start seeing Luke Shaw getting booked. You start seeing him losing his head because he can't keep up with the players all game long, I don't think. And Simon says that with Mourinho. What's this? Having a... that's what I'm doing. Okay. That is...
What's going on there, man?
I have no idea. I don't know what to say to that, to be honest. But anyway. But where's Marshall FC these days, Kojo? You know what I mean. I know what you mean, Marshall FC. The Marshall, like, what's it called? The Marshall Defence League. I just feel like that they can't defend him. I mean, here's a question for you, Kojo. Do you like majority of Marshall's injuries? Do you think that they were actual injuries, or do you think they were just because they were just fake news? Like, it was just so easy to say Marshall was injured all the time just because he didn't want to play, or something behind the scenes wasn't going well, or do you think he was actually just constantly injured?
I think it was a bit of injury. He was definitely injured, but also I think the guys had too many personal dramas to have to deal with. That, you know, I mean, I don't want to really delve into it too much, but I think we all know situations with ex and maybe current girlfriends. And all that stuff. I don't want to go too much further into that. But no, I think he's very injury prone. The issue with him, and you can see in his football now, he's less explosive. He doesn't take on players as much. And that's why I feel like his hold up play is overstayed, because you know, you want a forward that can not only hold up but can also make runs in behind, and you know, just maybe be on the shoulder of the last defender so you can break the thing, because he was so rapid, he was so quick, he was agile. It was just so hard to get the ball off his feet, but you don't see that player anymore. That player stopped doing that 5 years ago. It's just not. He's not the same anymore. We signed Martial in 2015. Bloody wow! It's been a while, isn't it? Yeah.
8 years of Martial. 8 years.
8 years of Martial, and we have got nothing for it. But yeah, no, it's done, man. It's done. Too many injuries, too unavailable. Just, you know, I'm fed up, quite frankly. We spoke about this after the Huddersfield defeat on the Jose. Broke out a poke in the eye. Yeah, we did. Look, he knows very well that I was very much. Firstly, I've never been part of any FC. I was very much a big fan of Martial. I think he had the talent, but it was very clear after we spoke, maybe for me a season or two later, to realize that he's just not cutting it anymore. It's just not happening for him, and it's disappointing. The one thing we don't like is seeing players that have all the ability and not giving enough or showing enough, or unfortunately not being available enough to, you know, show that they've got the quality. And he's just going to fall in that category, unfortunately. It's just what it is. So, yeah, man. Sad story, but we move.
Yeah, I completely agree with Martial. I mean, I remember when I remember that goal that he scored against Watford. That was probably my favourite goal he's ever scored, when I can't remember what it was, where he was surrounded by 3 or 4 players, and then he cuts inside and chips it over the keeper. I was just like, that's probably like his best goal. And that was like Martial at his prime. I mean, you remember that season under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer where Rashford and Martial had this insane link up, and they were just scoring goals for fun. And yeah, it was It was crazy. What's this? Fellaini had a better United career, not even taking the piss.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Funny enough, I do not disagree.
Yeah, I have to agree, and that's the sad situation. But Martial, I mean, he's in the squad today, so it'd be great if he scored a goal today. And but I just feel like the ship's already sailed with Martial, and I think that if United was to receive an offer for Martial, we would have took it already. And I just feel like so many teams just don't want to pay 20-30 million for Martial, whatever that we're asking for, because I feel like if we got more than 15 million, I think that's like a bargain for Martial with his injury issues at the moment and his wages. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like that as well, that with Erik Ten Hag, is that if he was to sell Martial for 15 million, he'd find a player that's either up and coming or better than Martial for 15 million, and he'd invest that money really, really well.
I'm gonna put this name in the chat for you and everybody else right now.
Okay.
Right. That name there, Marcos Leonardo. Go and check him out if you haven't checked him out. He plays for Santos. Again, South America Stan over here. He plays for Santos. He would cost at most, like you said, 15 million pounds. In euros, I'm not sure what that would be. But listen, if there's a player that's a forward that I think will shine at this club, sign.
Okay, well, thank you for the video idea. I'll do a scout report on him, and I'll there we go. But no, I feel like that's quite a good video. We'll do then. We'll sort some out in Kojo. We'll sort some out next week. We'll do a scout report for. We'll each bring 5 players that we can get for under. Let's say under 30. Like we'll say actually. We'll do like a little bit of things. So guys in the comments, if you want to be there, we'll do it at some point. Me and Kojo will sort out a schedule. We'll sort something out where we've all got £100 million and you all have to bring 5 players you'd bring to Manchester United. So that's around £20 million per player. You've got £100 million budget. We'll all do a stream together and we'll sort something out, and you have to bring 5 players that you want at your club or Manchester United. And I think that'll be a great interactive stream that we can all do. So yeah. I won't take Marcos Leonardo, but I've got a few ideas of players that I'd like at United as well. But yeah, honestly, we'll sort something out. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone for the comments this morning. It was very last minute, and yeah, this morning I was sorting out the thumbnail very quickly. I was like, oh, I completely forgot. But honestly, it's been a great show, and I really appreciate it. But just before everyone goes, score predictions for today. Now, I've gone for 2-0 to Manchester United. Now, I haven't seen the lineup yet, so that really depends if Maguire's starting or not. But or Evans, so not just Maguire, also Evans. I just hope that we've got a bit of defensive cover at least. I know Martinez is in the squad, but I don't know about the other centre back. It might be Casemiro, it might be a youth player, it might be Maguire. I'm not too sure, but for me, I'm going 2-0. For United, and I think Rasmus Højlund will score on his Old Trafford debut. But what are your thoughts and what's your score prediction?
I think we're conceding goals, man. I don't think we're gonna keep a clean sheet against Brighton, but I'm gonna go on the side of United still. I'm gonna go 3-2 Man United win.
Okay. NT Network says 2-1 Brighton. Sorry. Now
Can't lie to you. I can't stomach that because I went to the game last season, the opening game where we lost to Brighton. I'm not going through that again. So they better win. They better win.
We better add, yeah. I feel like as well at Brighton. I mean, if we just quickly to talk about Brighton quickly, the fact that they've scored 12 in their first 4 games but conceded 6 is absolutely mental. So no doubt they will be trying to pressure us and they will try and score a lot of goals. I mean, Network can see saying saving grace, Ferguson isn't 100% and Welbeck is out. So that is technically good. So it'd probably be João Pedro, is that his name as their striker, no doubt. But I think I'm looking forward to seeing Matoma versus Wan-Bissaka. I think that'll be another great battle. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing that. But yeah, so NC Network says 2-1 Brighton. Simon Davis says 2-2. I've said 2-0. Kojo said 3-2. One of us will probably end up being wrong, as always. But anyway, I appreciate everyone who's tuned in this morning. Obviously, Kojo will sort some out about the stream that we've mentioned about the scout report or the like special. We'll sort something out next week if our schedules line up. But anyway, everyone, thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Make sure you leave a like on the stream, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all very, very soon.